Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them. Casey Cares is the intersection of the profit and nonprofit communities, making Kansas City a better place to live, work, and play. This Casey Cares segment is brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation, www.kauffman.org. I'm your host, Ruth Baum-Biggis. There are an estimated 300,000 post-9/11 veterans who have psychological wounds, namely post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. Since 2002, more than 200,000 service members have suffered from traumatic brain injuries. These injuries are tough to treat. There are multiple layers involved in addressing both the physical and mental toll that combat service has caused. Brian Hughes knows the military journey well, a 23-year Army veteran who has served all over the world. Brian moved on in life, getting married, spending time with his two sons, and leading a new life, but he felt disconnected from his military family. The more he learned about the challenges his fellow vets faced with PTSD and traumatic brain injuries, Brian was drawn to find a way to help. Longtime friend and fellow veteran Jamie Wells, who had created a chapter in Florida of Defenders of Freedom organization, working fellow vets with brain injuries and PTSD, the two of them connected. A call to Defenders of Freedom founder, Donna Cranston, and who's the founder of Defenders of Freedom, Brian found his reconnection and passion, and he started a Kansas City chapter of the organization. And Brian joins us today to share his story of making a difference for his fellow vets. Welcome, Brian. We're so glad to have you.
Thanks, Ruth. Glad to be here.
All right, so you've had quite a journey. Let's talk a little bit, if you're willing to share, about your military experience. You have been all over the world.
Oh yeah, it was a great 23 years. I can't lie, I was a little bit lucky and blessed throughout the career. Started in 1998. I joined the Army, went to basic training at Fort Benning, and it carried me on to numerous places: Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Or Leonard Wood, Missouri, a lot of different places. I was fortunate enough to spend 12 of my total years between Florida and Hawaii, so can't complain too much there. Did spend several years deployed, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Eastern Europe, and a lot of training exercises in between. But it was a great career, and I have no regrets by any means.
Florida and Hawaii, boy, those are pretty decent gigs, but you were working.
Oh yeah. I was working, but you do get to enjoy life quite a bit when you're in those places.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So you came back, you had that 23-year military career, hopped out. What was your next step?
Well, I jumped right into real estate. That's kind of the other half of me now, as far as what I do, what puts food on the table for me and my family. And I love it. It's a great career, especially for people retired out of the military, a lot of freedom and flexibility. But as you mentioned, I started to feel disconnected. I retired out of Fort Benning, Georgia, stayed there for a little while, worked in real estate there, then moved up here to Kansas City with the family, which was our plan all along. My wife's originally from here, grew up over in KCK. And we wanted our kids to grow up close to family for the first time ever. They've been traveling all over the country for years, but so, once I got up here, I just felt like, that connection to service members, to the military, I'd lost that pretty quick. And, it's a little bit of a struggle, especially when you've got injuries, you've got things going on that some people just don't get, don't understand. So having that camaraderie and that fellowship with other veterans that get you, and that kind of understand what you've been through, it's pretty powerful and pretty healing. So I knew a friend of mine, Jamie Wells. We were Ranger instructors together a long time ago down in Florida, and he started the chapter of Defenders of Freedom down in Florida. So I got involved with him a little bit. I got to see his first event that he did and how powerful it was, and the people that he was helping and the good he was doing in the community. And so it sparked something in me. And then he connected me with Donna Cranston, the founder of Defenders of Freedom, who started this amazing organization 18 years ago. And she is one of the most amazing humans on the planet. Just a great woman, very selfless, huge heart. And I got to go down and see our brain injury treatment center that we partner with Resiliency Brain Health, and meet the doctors, talk to some veterans going through the treatment, talk to some veterans that had been through the treatment, recently or years ago, and how much it changed their life, how many people were on the verge of, suicide even, or, just, really struggling through life, weren't able to function, work, and how impactful it was and how much it changed their life for the better. And I was sold. I was like, I need to bring this to Kansas City, especially since I realized after moving here how large the veteran network is here. There are a lot of veterans in the KC area. So I know the need is there. So we've already experienced that. We've already connected with a lot of great veterans here. And it's been an amazing journey.
You can never underestimate the value of those that you serve with. I'm a daughter of a World War II vet, so that's a long time ago, but there are still connections that trickle down to this day, and that's a long time ago. Can you share with us a little bit about Donna and this organization that was started in the first place?
Yes. So Donna, she worked a lot, volunteered a lot with the USO back before she started Defenders of Freedom. And she's down in Dallas area. And she initially started Defenders of Freedom in 2004 to provide care packages and to kind of greet troops as they came home. So a lot of veterans that might be watching this that deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan, a lot of them probably came back in through DFW, Dallas Fort Worth Airport, and they probably remember the spectacular greetings that they got years ago. You would come back in and kind of unexpectedly walk into this huge terminal area, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people that had consolidated there and were just cheering, and they had stuff to give everyone, and giving everybody hugs and everything. It was an amazing experience. You felt like you had really done something great, and they showed their appreciation, and it was amazing. Something that unfortunately our Vietnam veterans did not get to come home to, but she was a big part of putting that together and starting that, and sent over 15,000 care packages out to deployed soldiers. But over time, just speaking with veterans in the airports that she got to meet and connecting and reconnecting with them, and she met and established a lot of great relationships. She started to discover some issues that kind of repeated over and over. She was hearing a lot of the same issues, a lot of brain injury stuff. A lot of veterans having issues in transition out of service and not having the financial means to kind of make the transition. So that's when Defenders of Freedom shifted mission a little bit, and over time has morphed into what it is today, which our primary mission today is traumatic brain injury treatment. And then we do a little bit of emergency financial assistance too, but it's primarily the traumatic brain injury treatment.
Well, it's an incredible organization that you have connected with and are creating and doing great stuff here in Kansas City. Tell us a little bit about when you jumped on this kind of bandwagon, and then we'll talk a little bit about, okay, I'm going to be a nonprofit.
Yeah. So it was probably around summer. It was around summer of last year, 2021, that I connected with Jamie down in Florida, and got to go see his event, and then a couple of months later went and met Donna and saw Resiliency Brain Health and the Brain Treatment Center there. And it was the decision. It was inevitable for me. Once I saw that, I was 100% in. And I just love being, like I said, connected to the veteran organization and helping my brothers and sisters who are struggling. So I started the process of getting the 501c3, up and running. We were officially formed late last year, late 2021, but didn't begin really any, fundraising activities or anything until this year, until 2022. So this is our first real year of this chapter. Like I said, the organization's been around 18 years, and we've got chapters in Pennsylvania, Florida, and then the main one in Texas, and now here in KC. So we're the baby of the group, but it's already going great. We've already had, a couple of great events, and, we're growing the network. People are starting to hear about us and know what we do. And I'm already getting calls from veterans in need that we are able to connect with and help. So it's great.
Quick turnaround for you. Congratulations on getting a 501c3 and moving forward that way. Did you have outside help?
Oh, yeah. Well, Donna and Jamie and the Brian up in the Pennsylvania chapter, they all provided insight. Donna's a wealth of knowledge, and she obviously, helped me through this a lot. And Jamie, being a longtime friend, he sent me, a lot of stuff that he had done. I felt like it wasn't as convoluted and as difficult as I expected it to be initially. Having started a couple of businesses myself. Still own a gym down in Florida that I've had for 14 years. That got a great manager in place there. But so I've been through that before. Started that business from scratch. So that that helped a lot in this. I will say that it is very humbling. Like, this in many ways is harder. 501c3 is harder than a business in some aspects, and definitely humbling. But at the end of the day, it's well worth it when you see the fruits of your labor, and you see the people that are getting help and having a better quality of life, and the family's reaction to that too. It's definitely worth it.
Share a little bit, if you can, with us about operational of Defenders of Freedom. What you offer and how it works.
Okay, so I guess I should start that off with, we're 100% donation funded through donations and fundraising events. We are also our Defenders of Freedom KC is 100% volunteer. None of us, none of the board or officers or volunteers or anyone in this chapter up here take any pay or anything. 100% volunteer. So through our outreach and through our connections and network, and as people hear of us, they reach out if they need help. And if it's something we don't do that's not really in our scope, we have made a lot of connections with other great organizations that we can connect them with and make sure they get the care they need. If it is within our scope, especially traumatic brain injury, then we kind of do a little bit of, I won't say an evaluation, but I meet with them. I just kind of see what their needs are without prying too much, not getting into, HIPAA stuff, but just, learning what they're struggling with, because TBI can present in so many different ways. Some people primarily might have issues with, cognitive function or balance issues, mobility issues. Some people might just manifest as anger and depression and things like that. So just getting a feel for what it is they want out of treatment and want help with. And then we've got multiple options. Our primary is still Resiliency Brain Health down in Texas. So it's a little bit away from here, but Donna and the founders of that, Dr. G'day and Dr. Eisenman, they have put together just such an amazing comprehensive program there with so many modalities that I haven't been able to find in one location anywhere else. So we still send them down there. It's a 2-week treatment protocol, and they pick when they want to go down, what works for them for the 2 weeks, and they travel down there to Florida, 100% paid for. The travel is, we provide money for food and all that while they're there. We try to make it a completely, free service to them, nothing out of pocket, not food, not, lodgings paid for, all of that. And very relaxed environment down there. Doctors G'day, Dr. Eisenman, they are some of the most awesome people and very down to earth, very humble, but very professional and knowledgeable. And they take good care of them, and they go through a very customized treatment protocol during that 14 days. My treatment might look very different from, another service member's treatment, because the first couple of days is all test and analysis, and they figure out what it is I need. And what it is so that I may need more of one thing than another person. So it's 100% customized. And then they go through the treatment and come out. And we've gotten so many great reports and feedback. And, if people jump on our website, we've got a TBI treatment TBI treatment tab or page of our website that has a lot of videos on there that of veterans that have been through the treatment, talking about their experience and how it's helped them and how it changed their lives. So, I encourage people to check that out.
And the website is defendersoffreedom.org. Want to make sure everybody gets that. We're talking with Brian Hughes. He is the founder of the Kansas City chapter of Defenders of Freedom, one of 4, correct? You got the main one in Dallas with Donna.
Yes.
And then Florida, Pennsylvania, Kansas City.
Yes. And just to clarify, so it's the website for the main one is defendersoffreedom.us. And our website for the Kansas City chapter here is DOFKC.us. So Defenders of Freedom KC, but DOFKC.us.
Great. Thank you for clarifying that. So everybody will go to the right site. How many folks in your short time have you been able to help from this area?
From this area, we just had our first veteran come back from the TBI treatment center a little over a week ago. I've met with a couple others. They're just trying to pinpoint dates. We've got one other that for sure is committed to going down, and he wants to go down, and we just have to pinpoint a date and get that scheduled. And then a couple others that, it would probably be early next year before they go down. This outside of the TBI treatment, we've helped a few other veterans with, emergency financial assistance and things like that. So we're still kind of in our infancy, but every day I'm getting more and more calls and emails, texts from people that, are reaching out and wanting information about it. And either themselves or a family member is struggling with something. So that we're hoping to grow that exponentially. We are a little limited on funds right now. We've done one major fundraising event. We had a golf tournament last month in September, and it turned out amazing. But we have some great things planned for fundraising activities. And then, once we do that, we'll be able to send more and more. I will mention too, we are partnered with Integrative Pain and Injury Center here in Lansing, Kansas. So right here in the local area, they don't have quite the robust capabilities that Resiliency Brain Health has, but they do have some. They have a few things that they even do down at Resiliency Brain Health that they can do right here locally. They have a 3-day program that for those that can't go down for 2 weeks to Resiliency, we can send them there to get some of the treatment, and it will help with a lot of things. I actually went there myself and got some, and it alleviated quite a few pains and different things that I had, and a little bit better sleep and things like that. So we do have that locally as well.
So you're really talking from personal experience as well. This isn't just a do good, which there's nothing wrong with, but you have had to deal with some issues and some challenges. Is this difficult for vets to come forward and say, I need help?
Yes, it is, especially the ones that are still on active duty, because there's a little bit of a stigma there, and I know that. I've been through that. It's hard to come forward and say, I need help. A lot of time, when you're still in, especially, you don't want to look that, you want to be 100%, hard charger. And, if is anything wrong, absolutely not. I'm perfectly fine. But that's usually not the case. I've learned once people are out, whether they're retired or they're just got out of the service, it does get a little bit easier to just open up and admit that you need help from what I've seen and experienced. But The problem is with TBI, we feel, and through studies and things like that, we feel that it's one of the most undiagnosed or misdiagnosed issues out there. There's a lot of service members that have been diagnosed with, post-traumatic stress, because the symptoms of both look a lot alike. There are a lot of overlapping symptoms. But post-traumatic stress is somewhat more of a mental injury, whereas traumatic brain injury is a physical injury to the brain, and they're treated very differently. So there are a lot of individuals we've come across, that Donna's come across, that Resiliency Brain Health has come across, that just had a misdiagnosis or undiagnosed traumatic brain injury that they were able to find and then subsequently treat. So that's kind of the hardest part, is just knowing what you have and what you need help with.
Well, that's fantastic that you can do that. Again, so you're not really delivering the service, you're being that connector, which is great, but you're also being the funder.
Yes.
So folks who come to you, you're taking care of all of their cost in connecting.
Yes. We take care of their travel down. We take care of their lodging, the treatment itself, which isn't cheap. So this isn't a much of a volume-based, nonprofit. There are other great nonprofits out there that, based on their mission, they're able to help thousands and thousands a year. Well, that's probably never going to happen for us. That'd be great, but this is something. It's very costly. It can cost anywhere from between $7,000 to $9,000 total to send one individual, one veteran, down to the treatment center for the 2-week version. Up here, if they stay locally and go up here for a few days and get treatment, it's much less than that. But for the one we just sent down, it was a little over $8,000. And, we rely heavily on, donations and fundraising activities so that we can continue to help the veterans and get them down there and just improve their quality of life.
Well, I think we're all challenged as nonprofits to fundraise, no matter what our mission is. There's always cost, and we can always, have more money. You've done a golf tournament. Kind of what's the model that you look at to get the funds you need to help vets one at a time with this fabulous program?
Yes. Well, so it's honestly, every chapter is a little bit doing something a little different. It's a great thing about Donna is we have bylaws, and we all she keeps us all focused on the mission and everything, but she's also given us a lot of autonomy to make our chapters what we need them to be for our regions, and for what works here. For example, Jamie has a great community down where he's at in North Florida, and he does like these survival events and stuff where he has a lot of survivalists and stuff come out and do training and stuff, and those are big there. That he's the only one doing that though. And it works very well where he's at, but it may not work so well in Dallas or some of the other areas. We just had the golf tournament. All chapters are doing that. It turned out really well. We've got a sporting clay shooting event coming up next year, and a couple of other events. Some kind of fun charity poker events that'll be coming up in the KC, kind of the North KC area, and some other areas, and different things like that. But my goal for those, it's kind of twofold. Obviously my primary goal is to raise funds so we can help veterans, but at the same time, I want those events to be spectacular events that people remember. They come to and they're like, that was amazing. We're definitely doing that again next year. We want to be involved in that again next year. So if you come to one of our events, it's going to be a good time. It's not just going to be a boring, donation and eat your food or play your golf or whatever and leave. It's going to be exciting.
How are you getting the word out? That's also a challenge for nonprofits, and you're a young nonprofit.
Yes. Yeah, that's the biggest challenge. So a lot of networking, a lot of, I mean, obviously social media. We could honestly, we could be a little bit better with that. Um, but that's been probably the biggest struggle, is just getting the word out. And Donna and Jamie and my other mentors in this told me that's just going to take some time. But something I've found very powerful is networking events that I go to. I go to various networking events in Johnson County, up here in the Northland, and various areas where it's just business professionals of all different sectors. And I go there and I've made some great connections, which have led to some really good partnerships and sponsorships and things like that. So that's been the most successful for me. I'd recommend that to anyone that's got a nonprofit, especially a young nonprofit. Go out to these networking events, just meet as many people as you can, and form those relationships.
And you're all volunteer led. You've got a career, you've got a family, you've got businesses elsewhere. How do you find the time to make this happen?
That is tough. And my wife would tell you that I struggle with that, and it does eat up a lot of my time, because I still have to devote some energy to real estate. That's what pays the bills. But splitting that time, finding the time to do that, focus on the nonprofit, and then just family time. I coach Little League baseball during the seasons and things like that, so that eats into the time a little bit. But just I have to be really good about my time blocking and make sure that I've allocated plenty of time. But I do have help. I've got some great volunteers that have come forward recently. My board of directors is they've been pretty helpful, but one of my board of directors is still an active duty major on Fort Leavenworth, so he's got a job that takes up most of his time, but he's been very helpful. But ironically, the first person we sent down to TBI Treatment Center, Josh, which we first met with that intent, but after he saw what we were doing and everything, he decided he wanted to get involved and volunteer as well and help the organization. And holy cow, he has knocked it out of the park. He has been a huge help, and is out there putting boots on the ground, talking to people about it, spreading awareness, finding sponsors for us and donors and things like that. And he's going to come on board as kind of a long-term volunteer, and likely be added to our board of directors soon. So I have help for sure.
And how can just people in the general community help you? How can they volunteer? Are there roles for us?
Yes. Well, so one of the biggest things, the easiest things, is if you go onto our social media, if you like and follow our social media pages, it'll help us reach all of your networks and all of your sphere of influence by just liking and sharing some of our posts and things like that, or events. When we do have events, we're always looking for volunteers to come out and help with running those and making sure they go smooth and they turn into a great, memorable event. But that's the biggest things just right now for us. That's spreading awareness, since we're the new people in town, and there are some great organizations I've learned here in this area, great veteran-based organizations in this area. But everybody knows who Veterans Community Project is, or they should. They're a great organization here in the KC area and do amazing things for veterans. And it's a pretty niche thing that they do, just like us. We're the only nonprofit that really is focused on traumatic brain injury treatment, but we all collaborate. They had people out at our golf tournament, set up a booth in there and stuff. And, between them and Horses and Heroes and Team Fidelis and some other great nonprofits here in the area, in the nonprofit space, it's not about competition. It's about collaboration, because we all have the same ultimate goal in mind. So that's one great thing about it. But yeah, just spreading that awareness, sharing our posts, liking our posts on the various social media channels, and just, talking to people about it. Let people know that we're here and what we do. That'll help immensely.
Thank you so much, Brian. We're going to send people to your website, which is www.dofkc, and that's F as in freedom, .us.
US, yes.
.us. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your continued service, because you may be out of the military formally, but you're continuing to serve, and we wish you the very best of luck.
Well, thank you, Ruth. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by a nonprofit, Charitable Communications. And this KC Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. To be a guest on KC Cares or underwriting opportunities to support the work we do, please visit our website, which is kccaresonline.org. And spread the love. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at KC Cares Radio and Instagram at KC Cares Online. Don't forget, you can catch us Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. on ESPN 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. Thank you for joining us on KC Cares.